Hello and welcome to the channel Dusty Hikers, where I share my hiking adventures and review hiking shoes. Recently I went on an 85-mile 5-day through hike, and I brought 3 different trail running shoes with me, including the Altra Lone Peak 7. And so in this video I'm going to review the Altra Lone Peak 7 and give you my impressions from having hiked in this shoe. The Altra Lone Peak series from Altra, this is the 7th iteration, the most recent iteration. These are extremely popular shoes. I think it's the highest selling shoe of Altra. It's kind of their flagship shoe. I was really curious to try these shoes out because I'd never worn them before. They're really famous because they have this wide toe box. They have a zero drop design. This just has a 25mm stack. And so my experience was that in these shoes, I felt very nimble. I felt very connected to the terrain. But I can also tell you that at the end of the day, especially if I wore these on the last leg of that day, my feet did tend to wear out from, I think, just not having as much between me and the trail, but also just from impacts and things like that. First off, let's talk about comfort. So personally, I found hiking in the Altra Lone Peak 7 to be very, very good as far as comfort is concerned. I did feel more nimble, more agile on trail. There's not a lot of shoe here, and yet they fit my feet quite well. And so I always felt really connected to the trail. Again, I think the one downside for me for comfort is just the fact that it doesn't have as much of a midsole and a sole to protect your foot. And so what I found was I would swap out the shoes over the 15 to 18 mile legs each day. So I would swap them out and space out the mileage over the course of the day. And when it was the Altra Lone Peak 7 at the end of the day, I could really feel it more in my feet than the other 2 shoes that I tested. So for comfort, I would say with the Altra Lone Peak 7, it's gonna require more from you as a user. I would spend a lot more time in these shoes than you might in another shoe if you're gonna take them, especially on a long hike, especially on a long multi-day through hike. The midsoles in the Altra Lone Peak 7 I found to be quite good. It's the Ego midsole. I don't know if you can see that right there. It's a double midsole combined with a responsive yet delicate feel that guarantees an even more vigorous rebound force. So for final thoughts on comfort, I give these things a thumbs up. Okay, next up is traction. All 3 of the shoes that I tested had very, very good grip and traction on trail, and that included these. So these have the Max Track. You can see it right there. The website read, Max Track, a perfect combo of grip, traction, and durability that will devour rough terrain like a tyrant. Now, I think that was the Italian version of the website, which I translated into English, so I'm not sure if that's what the marketers wrote for the English version. Anyway, great traction. I was very, very pleasantly surprised with these. Actually, all 3 shoes that I hiked in had really amazing traction. I hiked on grass, mud, dirt, asphalt, rock, gravel. I mean, I hiked on everything over the course of those 5 days, and these shoes did very, very well in all of those conditions, including wet conditions. I also did head-to-head testing with the 3 shoes that I brought on the through hike. And so what I do is I just put a different shoe on each foot, and then I sort of fast hike up and down this trail, which is near here, my home. And there was virtually no difference. I could not detect any difference in the ability of those shoes against each other to give me more ability to claw my way up this hill. So again, very, very good traction on these shoes. Hey, I put a lot of time and energy and money and blisters into producing this video for you. If you want to support my channel, consider hitting subscribe. You could also hit like if you're finding something interesting here. And finally, if you'd like to support me monetarily, there is an affiliate link in the description. So if you purchase the shoe there, it doesn't cost you any more money, but I get a little something in return. Okay, next up is protection. When you have a minimalist design like this with a kind of slightly less thick stack, and of course there's also no rock plate on this shoe, you're gonna have differences between this shoe and maybe a more robust hiking shoe. However, I can tell you that over the 5 days, I had 0 issues with protection, either with the uppers or with the sole. And again, I hiked on a lot of different terrain over the 5 days. I can easily say that these shoes are gonna provide enough protection for you. The other thing that I did was I put a different shoe on each foot, and then I step on a stone to see which one transfers less of the shape of the stone to the bottom of my foot. And this shoe lost to the other 2 shoes. But again, in real world conditions in hiking, I did not have any issues with these shoes. I stubbed my toe in these shoes a number of times, and I didn't have any problems with protection at all. Okay, next up is stability. Of the 3 shoes that I tested, I found these to be less stable than one of the other shoes. Actually, that was the shoe that won. By the way, if you want what I consider to be the best trail running shoe for hiking, this is not that shoe. You need to go watch the video on my channel. It's called Best Trail Running Shoes for Hiking, and figure out which shoe that is. That shoe for me was the one that I always wanted to wear. When you swap out shoes every 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 miles over the course of 18 miles, you know which one you want to wear, and that was that other shoe. It's not this shoe, so go check out that video. So the problem that I had with stability in these was occasionally when I was in an unusual situation where perhaps I was on some uneven rock or something and I was downhilling or I was trying to go uphill, I did feel like my heel slipped a little bit in these. Perhaps I could have done more to cinch them down, but when you're doing big miles, I really don't like to have the laces cinched down super tight. I like my foot to be able to kind of like stretch and breathe. It wasn't awful. It's not like my heel completely slipped out of the back of the foot, out of the back of the shoe, but the shoe that won that round of testing in that video, Best Trail Running Shoes for Hiking this year, that shoe I had zero issues with stability. And really I had zero issues with that shoe on any of these categories. So that is, in my estimation, a better shoe for hiking. Okay, so the last test that I did is time to dry. If you're gonna go on a multi-day through hike like I did, time to dry could be a really, really big factor for you. So what I do is I just take the dry weight, I record the dry weight, and then I dunk each shoe in water for a few seconds and shake out the excess water. I take that weight, and so you can see on the graph here that I'm tracking the percentage weight gain over the dry weight. These shoes took on about 40% of their dry weight, and then after 9 hours, they still had about 5% in their dry weight. This shoe, in my estimation, and Altra says this as well, it's got this breathable fabric that will dry out quickly, and that checks out for me. So if you know you're gonna be on a long, like multi-day through hike and you think you're gonna get wet and you don't wanna wear Gore-Tex, the Altra Lone Peak 7 could be a really good option for you. Okay guys, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I have the videos coming out to review the 2 other shoes that I went on the through hike with. Those come out like on Sunday typically, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.